tutorial. I have a beautiful cup of raw cacao to get me into the mood. As you can hear, the birds are chirping. It's a beautiful day here in Costa Rica. We're in the rainy season, but the sun is shining today. I can show you a little bit the view from my window in the studio. You can see the jungle. Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day, and I felt it's a good day to make another video. This time about how to make music with Solfeggio Frequencies. Remember in the last video I showed you what Solfeggio Frequencies are and how you can use them. And in this video I want to show you how to actually make music while creating a sound journey. Okay, so let me turn off the camera and let me pull up my notes. So in this video I am going to explain the tuning for the solfeggio music, because it's a specific tuning that we need our instruments to be tuned in order to be harmonic. Then we will look at the intention for the journey and create a selection of frequencies that we are going to use. And we're going to set up the frequencies in Ableton. And then we are working in the session view, creating the sound journey template, so to say. So we're gathering all the elements that we need for the sound journey. And then we will have a look how to arrange it in the arrangement view. Alright, so first of all, let's have a look at the tuning. So if I go to my operator, instruments, operator, right, we turn those oscillators off and we turn this to fixed, and let's say we want to check out the tuning for those frequencies. So I set this one to 396 Hertz, which is also related to the heart chakra. And this is also the frequency we will work with in this track or in this sound journey. And now I can set a tuner and see what is the reference pitch. That means with what pitch I have to work in order to make the music sound harmonic. So if I play a note now, because it's set to fixed, it will only play, no matter which key I'm playing, it will only play a note of 396 Hertz. And this relates to be a G. But you can see it's slightly off, right? It's not green. We want it to be green. So 440 is obviously not the cosmic tuning that we are looking for. So let's try 432 maybe. You might think that this might be the solfeggio tuning. But no. It's even further away. So 432 is awesome, and we're gonna have a look at that in many other videos. But for now, for solfeggio, it's not really working. So let's find something that works. I just play the note, and then I go down with the pitch or up with the reference pitch here, and then we will see which is actually the correct pitch. Now I go up. Getting closer. Ooh, alright, see? So now we are pretty close. And it's 444 Hertz. And I mentioned that in the other video already. This is related to 111 Hertz, which is an A also. And if I turn the frequency on here, the hertz, so we can see, wow, this is our 396 hertz, perfectly, right? So this is the G, and then if we have the A, so if I turn this to 444, then it's A, right? And 111 is also A. So now we have learned that when we want to make solfeggio music, we want to make it sound harmonic in key, we have to use 444 hertz. So let's set up the template for the frequencies that we are going to use. So the first one is going to be 396, because the intention is to create a root chakra sound journey, right? If we look at this, maybe I can expand it a little bit. If we look at this, liberating fear, but it's also a lot of physical stuff, but what is not mentioned here is that it's actually also calming down the nervous system and helping us to ground because of the connection to the root chakra. So that's basically the frequency that we use as the main carrier of our intention, because sound waves on a multidimensional level, they can carry intentions. So we have this frequency now playing, and I just create a clip. I go in here, and it doesn't matter which note I'm choosing, and I make this clip 108 bars long, because that is a pretty long time. The tempo I'm going to set to 60. It's my meditation music tempo, half of 120. Okay, so now we play the first tone. So this is the solfeggio tone, 396 hertz. And let's make it red for the root chakra. And let's make it a bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a chorus effect to create a bit more movement. If you increase the dry wet all the way, you get a more intense effect. You can make it faster. But let's work with 1.08 and 396, 3.96. So whenever I'm doing something, setting values and stuff, I want it to be a reflection of the number codes that we're working with, right? So anything that is related to 3, 6, and 9 is a good option, and also 108 is a sacred number in many ancient traditions, and I also use the 108 here. It also is summing up to 9. If you have 1 plus 8 plus 0 is 9. So anything that adds up to 3, 6, and 9 is a good value. And maybe we go into that in another video, why that is. So if you find that too extreme, you can dial it back a little bit. I actually like it like that. And also let's add the reverb to give it a bit more depth. So I go to my go-to reverbs here, and I have a couple of ones that I bought, so that you need to purchase, but then there's also some free ones, and one of the free ones is the Cloud Seed, and I will put a link for this one in the description. So let's use the Cloud Seed for now. And there's a nice preset that I like. If I go to factory programs, It's called Ruby Calf Fields. And it just makes it sound a bit more cosmic, a bit more interesting, right? So if I turn it off, it's like that. And with the chorus, it is a bit more interesting, a bit more animated, a bit more alive. So that's the first frequency, but we don't stop here. We actually gonna add more frequencies. When I look at this image, I feel that the heart chakra frequency is also really important, you know, because if you want to feel at peace, it's also important that you feel it from the heart. And in general, the heart is the gateway to receive the love that is all around us, and that is basically what I believe to be the force, the intelligence that is permeating and flowing through everything, making everything alive, giving life and life force to everything. So the heart, the gateway. So we also adding the heart frequency here. So I put another one, and I put this to 639, I believe it was. Yeah. And then we increase the volume here. Oh, that's really interesting, right? Now we have, I just blended in slightly. Not too much, just slightly, and we can dial this back a little bit. Because you don't want the frequency to be right in your face, you just want it to be gentle. If you look at the mixer here, maybe we want it at -30 or something, so I set this again, 3, 6 and 9, I set this to -9, and this leaves us around -30 here, which is okay for now, and I apologize for the loud fan of my computer. It's a very powerful computer, but it's also getting really hot really quick. So when we play more music, this will not be as obvious. So for now, I just apologize for the wind. So we have the frequency now, and we add more. So I add another instance of operator here. And now I want to create some subby drone sounds. And for this, I will just use 111 Hertz, which is basically just the A, right? And we need to make sure that they are not modulating each other. Well, that's really interesting. We get a different sound now. Now we cannot hear my voice. So this is when the oscillators are not modulating each other. Sounds like this. And interestingly enough, it sounds like this if they modulate each other. So it's like a top to bottom modulation. So this oscillator B would modulate oscillator A now with this frequency modulating this frequency. Very interesting. We can use this. I think it sounds pretty interesting and cosmic. And this sound also pretty interesting and cosmic. And this is just the two frequencies playing without modulation. So for now, let's use it without modulation. And let's check here. 111 Hertz, and let's just copy this because it doesn't matter. Call this 111 Hertz, and actually 55 also, which is an octave below. So Hertz with a small z. So now I can add the 55 also. Just type it in here. And let's dial it back a little bit. The lower one you want to be a bit louder than the higher one because we're more sensitive to the higher frequencies. And this one you won't be even hearing if you have not like really good subs speakers or like headphones. So if you're not listening on headphones or good subs, you won't be able probably to hear the 55. Wow, but now we can already get this super grounded feeling. Whew. I instantly feel it, like, you know, I get like my roots are extending into the earth. I feel already like really grounded. That's beautiful. Alright, so that's it with the frequencies. So let's turn this off for now. So now that we have set up the frequencies, we want to create a template for the sound journey, right? And the intention is to create calming, meditative, heart-opening journey. So I want to have nature sounds, you know, I want it to be very organic. So let's start with adding some nature sounds and finding a nice soundscape for the background. And for this, I will go to my Deep Shamanic Journeys, which you can find on my website. I can also put a link in the description. And basically what I have here is a selection of field recordings of nature. So I double click on here and this will import the group. And now I have the nature sounds here to work with in the template or in the set that we're working. So let's see if we go forest sounds. Sounds good to me. Yeah, beautiful. And I also want some water. I always feel water is really relaxing and also helping us to be more in tune with our emotions. So I will add a water stream as well. Maybe a bit more quiet. Maybe a bit more quiet still. Alright, so now we have already, if you close your eyes, you have the feeling of being in a forest or something. So let's continue. And now let's add some drone sounds. And I could go here and check the drone sounds from my template, because the good thing is, you know, if you want to make solfeggio music, you have to work in the scale of C major. Basically the C major scale and also the parallel to it, the A minor scale, tuned to 440 Hertz is the most harmonious and will work to make solfeggio music basically. And the template, the Deep Shamanic Journeys template, is in C major / A minor. So you could use all of the drones here. But I want to show you actually how I create my own drones. And for this I'm going to use some of my favorite sound libraries, my favorite plugins that I also use to create this Deep Shamanic Journeys. So let's find a good drone sound, and I create a MIDI track. And now I go to my plugins here, because this is not enabled. I can go to my favorites. This is where I organize all my favorite plugins, and I need Engine. And Engine is basically like a host for sample libraries from a company called Best Service, and I really love Forest Kingdom. It's such a beautiful library for this kind of jungle sounds and natural, organic, beautiful, immersive sound journey, soundscapes. It's really amazing. And with the update in Forest Kingdom 3, they organized it beautifully in soundscapes and in different categories. So let's just pull up the soundscapes for now. We're looking for a drone. And let's go to Mother Nature. Wow, beautiful. So let's see what we have here. Maybe let's check out Mother Earth. So I double click on it and it looks like that. And basically what the genius Edoardo Terrilonti, one of my favorite sound library designers, he's such a good creative soul, has done is he has created layers of pads. So now we have this patch called Mother Earth, and I will just now play a note and let's see how this sounds. I will play a C. Whoa, and that's a pretty low C. Let's play a higher one. Wow, you hear this rumble? So that is pretty intense, pretty earthy, and it is interesting, but it's maybe a bit too dark or too intense for what I'm looking for at the moment. But I really like the flute. So maybe what we can do is we can take off all the elements and just take the flute. So I turn off the volume of all of that and just have the flute, and let's see how that sounds. So that's a beautiful sound on its own, and we could record this one as an intro sound or like as an effect sound, but I will come to the effect sounds later, but this would be a classical effect sound. I would record this on its own. It's just beautiful, the flute. What I forgot what we need to do, of course, for the harmonic feel, we need to change the tuning, right? So I go to Hertz now, you can see the standard pitch is 440, and what we can do now, I can double click and delete and type in 440 Hertz. So now we have the correct tuning. So now the flute is playing at 440 Hertz. And let's see how that all sounds together with the frequencies. Why not? Let's record it. I really like it. So what I go do now is I create a clip here and I see what note I'm playing, C3. So you could also play it with a MIDI keyboard or whatever, and I make it, let's say, 9 bars long. For electronic music I like to work in 8 bars and 4 and 16 and stuff, but for sound journeys I like the more round numbers, you know, like 3, 6 and 9 or 9 and 12 bars, 24. So for some reason I feel intuitively it makes more sense, like the 8 and the 4 feels more like square, let's say, like boxed, which makes sense in electronic music, hypnotic music, but then for like this kind of sound journey meditation music I just like 3, 6, 9, 12, 24, 36, stuff like that. Because when I play like intuitively without a metronome, the loops always turn out to be 6 bars, 9 bars, 12 bars. And actually many indigenous cultures, I'm working with indigenous chants, and if I analyze them, they're always 6 bars. The patterns are 6 bar patterns, so we could have 6 or 9. So maybe let's, because it's a flute, let's make it 6. Because it's basically just the effect sound, and we will see how long it will play. So now it will play the flute. And we will see how long it plays. Awesome. So now what I can do, I can just duplicate that. It creates an identical copy. And then I can click freeze track. and it has frozen the channel, and if I flatten it now, it has transformed it into audio. So now the MIDI is gone, no more instruments here. Here we have the MIDI file still, but here we have the audio file. So basically it has rendered it down, you know, it has transferred, or like it has converted the MIDI into audio. So this is what it does. You can freeze the track if your CPU processing is too high, then you can lower that by freezing a track, which means it is processing at once and then creating this audio bounce of it. And you can unfreeze it if you want to do changes to the notes and stuff. But if you really want to commit it, like me, I was sure I don't want to change it, and I have the copy here anyway. So now I have the audio file. So I renamed this Flute. And now let's see, it has created a loop. The warp mode, I don't want to be in beats, I want it to be in tones actually, because we have a single tone here. It's a better algorithm, beats will create more artifacts. And now let's increase the volume here of the clip, so I go 6 decibels and you can see it's raising the volume. And let's actually see how it all plays together. So now it should play the flute all 6 bars. Alright? You can see it's going, and then after 6 bars it's repeating and playing the flute again. Which is cool. I like it, it's a cool effect. And what I want to do now is just I want to crop the clip, because this part here we don't need and we want to save space. So if I crop this clip, then this file, this sample file in the project will be half as big, and I intend to share this project file with my Ko-fi supporters. I will talk to that at the end about that. So I want it to be as small as possible, so it's easy to download for everybody. So now I have this flute, but let's find actually like a cool drone. So let's go back here and let's maybe check another soundscape. So maybe let's Living in a Dream, how that sounds. Whoa, pretty intense, I'm sorry for this rumbling. So what I'm doing now, I'm listening to all the individual pads, because usually I find it's a lot. Usually I just end up using one pad or sampling each of them and seeing how they go together. But for now, let's just listen to pad number 1. So I'm playing a note and then increasing the volume. Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. So that is a high note already. So let's try an octave lower. Ooh, beautiful. I love that. I don't want to make it too loud, so I'm checking the master here. Maybe 60 is good. Beautiful. Let's check it with the frequencies and the flute. Wow. I'm enchanted. Okay, cool. Let's capture this. And as you can see also, it has reverb already, and the reverb is really beautiful that he has here. If I would turn it off, you know, dry, it sounds like this. But I really like the reverb that is on here. In general, like he did a great job, Eduardo did a great job on the sound design here, so I just keep the reverb on for now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm recording both pads. So the first one I'm gonna put an octave lower, And this time, yeah, no, let's keep it at 6 bars because we are at 60 BPM. We don't need to make it 12, especially if we are not changing the notes. Because for the drones, I want it to be just one note. Because later, when we look at the pads, we're gonna play more notes and chord progressions and stuff. But for the drones also, it gets pretty busy and overloaded if you play too many notes at the same time. It gets muddy in the mix also, because usually there's a lot of low end. So what I want to do is I want to record a lower version of that, meaning a lower octave. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating an audio track, and I set this input audio from to take it from engine. So this allows me to record the audio that is coming out of this channel into this channel. So I arm this one for recording here. You see now those are record buttons. So now I cannot record, but if I arm it for record, I can record into the clip slots. What I need to do is I need to arm the playback of this one, so I need to play it. See, now it's receiving the audio here. I stop it. So now I hit just the space bar, and you see it's still active. And what happens now, if I click on this record button, this clip will play and record into this clip. So let's do it. Let's just record 6 bars. So you can see it's recording the pad. After 6 bars, it's starting again. And I record this actually for 12 bars instead of 6, and I will tell you in a minute, like once I've done. So I'm checking now. Once this hits 13, then I have a 12 bar recording. And then I will stop it. Okay. So you can see, because I want to loop it, you know, when it plays the first time, it has this slow attack, which means the sound is slowly fading in. And if I loop it like that, it might be that there's kind of a drop in energy. So let's hear how this sounds. I will, if I solo it, my voice is gone, so we have to solo both. Okay, so I will play it now, and pretty much from here, so that we hear the transition. You see, and now the sound dropped off a little bit. But if I go here now, so I just change the loop selection, but I put the start marker here. That means when I play the clip, it will start from here, so it will fade in, and then it will play all the way until here, and then it will go back here, and you can see, because it's repeating, there is a little bit more volume already, so it's not such a drop in energy. You don't feel like empty. You don't feel the void so much. So let's listen the transition here. You see, it sounds more seamless. And this is why I always record double the length of the clip length. So in this case I had a 6 bar loop. I recorded it 12 bars so that I can set the loop section here so it can repeat without the fade in from 0. Here it's not fading in from 0. The note is already playing, and because of the reverb tail, there's already some sound here. So now I crop it, and I call this one drone 1. And now I want the same drone, but an octave higher. And what I can do now, I can, this one, I can take this and just shift click or hit shift on my keyboard and then click up, and then it's jumping an octave. Or what I can also do, if I go down, I can also go to the MIDI effects here in the browser, select the pitch and go 12 up, which means I'm going 12 semitones up. So the note that is here now, the C2, will actually be a C3 because it's 12 semitones up. So let's have a listen to that now. I turn this one off so we just hear this one, and it should be a higher octave, right? It's playing the C2, but it's turning out as C3 because it's an octave higher, 12 semitones. And I do the same thing now. I record the drone an octave higher, and I do that because I like to have variation also in the arrangement, you know, and because in general at the beginning I want people to relax, and usually lower drones are supporting in that. But at some point, if you want to uplift them again or bring them back into their awareness, usually higher notes or higher pitches are tending to be more energizing and more waking up. So towards the end of the journey, I would use maybe a higher drone. So I just want the same drone an octave higher, and I'm recording it now again. Renaming it drone 2. Same thing, I recorded for 12 bars. Actually, let's call this one drone 1 plus 12 semitones, so that I know that is an octave higher. Alright, and I do the same thing. Here it's even more obvious now because it's an octave higher. So now I'm gonna repeat the last 6 bars, and you can see again here's the fade in with 0 volume, and then it's going up, and here there's already some volume because it's a reverb tail. And so if I play it back now, it's seamless. Let me demonstrate that by soloing. Right, that's the seamless transition. That's what we want. It's already set to complex, beautiful. Okay, so now we have the drone. Let's find a good pad. And for that, let's maybe check another library by the same developer or like artist, Edoardo Torrilondi. And this one is called Nada. And he said he created this one particularly to create meditation and new age music and healing music. So yeah, all the sounds you can find here. There's lots of instruments and pads. So for now, let's check out the meditation pads. And DPs sounds pretty interesting. So check out DPs. That's the interface. Looks like that. It works similar, that it's layered. Again, we need to change the pitch. So it's still at 440 Hertz because it's the same host. I just changed the library. So let's see how DP sounds. I'm playing a C note now. It's beautiful. It's like a piano with a shiny pad. want to play a pad, that means it's a chord progression, or like at least a triad, which means it's more notes than one at the same time, at least two, but like a triad, 3 notes. And usually a chord is made up of a root note, a third and the fifth. But for now, let's show you something that I use for better workflow. We will have a look at music theory hacks in another video for beginners, but now I will show you just the workflow that I usually use for the journeys that I create for clients. And in this case, in general, I'm a fan of getting things done quickly with the least amount of effort, but to get the most benefit out of it. And in terms of composition, there's nothing more amazing than a tool called Scalar 2. And yeah, let's have a look at it. So I create another MIDI track, and I go to my favorites again, and this time I choose Scalar 2. And this is how it looks. And basically what it's doing is it is creating chord progressions and melodies in different styles based on the scale that we chose. So with the newest version of Scalar 2, they have created this beautiful progression section. So if I go here, this is where we find the chord progressions. They have all kinds of different styles that you can find, world and whatever, like house, hip-hop, cinematic, chill and stuff. But for this scenario, I'm just looking for the common progressions, which means it's just chord progressions that have worked and that you find still today all over the place. And here you see the numbers of the chord progressions, right? Like 4, no, it's like 6, 4, 1, 5, sentimental. And then there's tender. So the beautiful thing about Scalar is it is very relatable. They created all these beautiful attributes, and you can go really intuitive. This is what I like. I want to spend my time feeling and creating and not like being in my mind so much. So this allows me actually to go really quickly to what I'm looking for. And let's just start with the basic triads. And now you see, first of all, the scale. And we are in the C major scale. That's the scale that we want. In general, you know, you can work with the minor scale as well. In this case, A minor, solfeggio music. But I find for uplifting music, using the major scale works better. So we're going to work with the major scale in this case. And yeah, so let's just have a listen. And Scalar has some built-in sounds. In this case, it's a felt piano, so we can just listen to the sounds, the chords, how they sound. And we're just clicking with the mouse. I could also bind it to a MIDI keyboard, and then I can play it. You see, it's from C2, so if I play C2 on my MIDI keyboard, I play one note. And it's playing the whole chord. And those are the simple triads. But then if you go further, you have like a thickened version, which means they add an octave above and below. And then if you go even further, they have colored, which means now they added like 7th and 9th, and it sounds like this. See, now it's a lot more like sentimental and beautiful. And for now I really like this progression. And now let's see the magic. So now I turn this one off and I want this chords to be played by nada, right? By our beautiful deep piece patch. So now what I need to do, I go MIDI from scalar 2, and here post effects I also check scalar 2, and then I go monitor in. So this makes that this channel is receiving the MIDI notion, MIDI information, MIDI notes that scalar 2 is sending. So now if I go to scalar and I play this chord, it's actually playing the deep piece patch from nada, and it sounds like this. Wow, it's pretty loud, and I also find that it's pretty high. So what I want to do, instead of plus 12, I just turn it off so that we have an octave lower. Let's see how that sounds. Together with everything. So what I can do now is I can record this, and let's see, so now we have 4 chords. So let's see if we want to make it 12 bars. Let's see how that feels. So I just create a MIDI clip here, and then I see the notes. I set this to 1 bar, you know, like the grid, so the notes that I'm drawing in by double clicking are 1 bar. I set this to 12 bars because I want it to be a 12 bar loop. And this means if we have 4 chords and we want them to play them equally, we set them each to 3 bars, right? So that's the first one. And then that's the next one, and we have only the white notes here because this is how the C major scale works. It's only the white notes. So now we have this progression over 12 bars. Let's see how that feels. Amazing, I love that. Okay, so what we do now is we record the notes coming in from scalar into engine. And now if I hit record, you can actually see the notes that are being played by the chords. Oh, sorry. One thing I forgot, which is amazing for scalar, is the humanize function. So imagine, you know, like if I just play the clip, it will always be the same velocity, the same timing, but that's not really natural. I could have played the chords by hand also, but to get this human feeling, we can randomize or humanize the velocity or the timing or both. And I set it to both now, and this will result in slightly different velocities, slightly different timings. And we can even also make this effect a bit stronger by using Ableton's own MIDI effect. If we go to velocity, and then we set the preset add some random, and this will also add some random velocity to the notes that are being played. And let's see how this turns out. So you see the chords now? You can see already the different velocity range. Usually it will be all the same velocity. But because we automated it and randomized it, it has all different velocities, which is a lot more human and a lot more interesting. Beautiful. So now we have our progression, and you could record this even more. Like you could record this like 2 or 3 times, so that way you would have slightly different variations. But because of the time, we just leave it like that for now. But if you do it on your own, you could record like 3 different versions and then having a little bit of variation every time. But this is already a good variation. So what we do now is just let's just duplicate that and set this to normal, and then let's just freeze it again. For a second my voice will be gone. Okay, and then let's flatten it, turn it into audio, and let's rename this the Peace Pad. Set it to complex. And here you can see it already did that automatically. Ableton is pretty clever, so it already created double the length and set the loop there. So now I was playing double because Scale was triggering engine also, we were hearing it double. Yeah, this is already giving me a deeply peaceful feeling. Okay, so now let's create some melodies on top. Now we have a pad and we have a drone and nature sounds. Now let's have a look at some melodies. And we keep the chord progression and we just use the different sounds. So we stay in scalar, and the cool thing is, if you go to perform, it's actually playing melodies. So now I play the chord, but it plays melodies. It's super beautiful. If I set this. Right, so I'm playing this chord, but it's playing this performance now. It's maybe a bit fast, so I can set it to half of the tempo. And let's see how this sounds. And this time maybe I want the octave up, and let's check the instruments that we have here. So I go to Nada, go to instruments, and maybe go to percussion. And let's see, we have a kalimba here, or we have bells. Let's check the kalimba. see how that sounds. Okay, so maybe the kalimba is not what I'm looking for. Maybe let's try the balafon, fantasy. Yeah, that's more like it. Dreamy, percussive. Alright, and let's do the same thing. We play the chord progression, but this time we record the melody. Okay, now it's repeating, that's enough. And the same thing, we duplicate it and set this to normal. That's the melody. Just need to make sure that I keep the MIDI files for the project later. Yeah, all good. Okay, so again, we freeze this, flatten it, and rename this balafon melody. It's always good to be organized. Maybe let's call this pads for now. Maybe I want to add some more later. Okay, so now we have that, and let's maybe find another instrument. And for that, I'm going to show you another of my favorite libraries, which is Flute. They have an amazing library of beautiful sampled world instruments. And for this I need to go to my UVI workstation, another host for another sample library, and go to Flute, and let's go to bell, metal and gong, and let's see what they have here. I really like the handpan, so let's see what we can do with that. And we do the same thing, we let the melody notes come from scalar. So let's rename this Flute and MIDI from scalar. Okay, beautiful, and let's find another performance. Yeah, of course it's not tuned yet. We need to go to tune it, preferences, and then I go to global tuning, 444, and then back. So let's see how that sounds in context. Also with the balafon together. Let's see what else we have here. I like the sound so much, so let's see. Yeah, that's more what I like at the moment. So this is a percussion instrument from Indonesia. I cannot really pronounce it, but see the name here. I will just add a little bit of reverb and delay to it to give it a little bit more motion. That you have to buy, but it's amazing. Valhalla Shimmer, I really like it for those kind of percussion sounds. It gives it a really long, beautiful, dreamy, shimmery tail. Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's record this. Don't worry if you don't have the reverb. I will bounce it to you for you. So if you support me on Ko-fi, you can download the project and you will get the sound including the reverb on the bounce. So set this to normal. Flatten. And let's stay organized here for the MIDI files. So this is the drone. This was the pad, the piece pad, because I want you to access the MIDI files as well. And this was the balafon mellow, right? Yeah. Let's crop this. Perfect. And same here. Oh god, I mean, this is just, I think it's Balinese. The word is so Jaladarangam. Jaladarangam. I'm sorry if I butcher that, if a native person is listening to that. But it's a beautiful instrument. I'm very grateful that I can use it. Okay, so now maybe let's just add a flute. And for this I will show you the amazing flutes of Forest Kingdom again. So we go back here. And we go back to Forest Kingdom, go to instruments, wind instruments, and wow, they're all pretty amazing. You could check the Native American flutes with Forest Kingdom 3. They added a lot of new beautiful flutes. Let's see, because let's use the C, let's see. Here we go. Okay, let's just record the flute melody in while everything is playing. So let's just record in the flute. Cool thing is I can just play around and then I can use the capture function. And this one, if I want to recapture what I just played. So I will just jam around while this is playing and then recapture what I think sounded best. Capture. See here with other notes. Okay, let's just make it a 6-bar loop. Like that, and let's call this native flute, and let's just record this in audio from Engine 4. now we can, I should have recorded a double actually. So let's see how it sounds if we loop it. Probably not that good. Now let's record it actually double time. I was a little bit carried away, dreaming. Okay, so like that, and then like that, and let's see how that sounds in the transition. So good. I just would like to have a bit more reverb and delay on this one as well. Yeah, that's better, because I mean it was kind of harsh, and also I just like it if it's a bit more animated. It's kind of like the ruined element in this journey, or the air, so it is a bit in the background, it is a bit more obscure, and also with the delay it gives it a bit more movement and interest. And if you wonder why I put the delay before the reverb, it's just the way of how the effects are processed, like the signal is being processed from left to right, so it's coming here, and then the delay, and then the reverb. And if I would put the delay afterwards, that would create a sort of confusion in the reverb, because the reverb would be delayed, and I feel this would sound a bit more muddy than the other way around. So usually I put the reverb at the end unless I want like it to be affected with a delay or something like that. But usually I put them at the end, the reverbs. Okay, I'm just wondering if I can find another sound for this melody here. So maybe like a music box or something like that, something a bit less spiky, or like, yeah, I don't know, like the sound is still pretty sharp. Maybe let's see if we drown it in delay, if it's sounding better then. And the great effect is free also from Valhalla, is Supermassive. It's a mix between a reverb and a delay, and it works really well on things like that. Let's just try the default. Yeah, that makes it more soft, and this beautiful carousel effect. Which is almost sounding like a singing bowl. It's super interesting. It makes it like ringing. Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful. Actually, if we want to soften the attack, what we can do is we can go to the EQ and find the frequencies, usually in the area between 2 to 5k hertz. It's the presence area, that transient attack area. So I can use the shelf in general, and then maybe just make it a bit softer here. Maybe not too drastic. Before, very spiky, very sharp, and here it's a bit softer because I rolled off the super high frequencies and I went down a little bit on the presence area, where our ear is super sensitive to those frequencies between 2 to 5k. So reducing the frequency there a little bit with an EQ makes it a lot softer somehow. Just a little side note, I like when that happens. You see this, -6.6, it's like mirroring each other. It's always for me a good sign that I'm on a good path, you know, with the track. And it's like repeating numbers. I'm just obsessed with numbers. So that's a good confirmation for me. Alright, so we could go on and on, but it's time to get to the arrangement also, so that the video is not like infinitely long. So let's just create a rough mix in the session view, and then let's have a look at the arrangement. So what I'm doing now, I'm just listening and I'm trying to balance all the volume out, listening what is too loud, what is too quiet. In general, I want to give myself a good headroom. That means the loudest part of the track should not go above -6. You know, this has also to do with the mastering. If you want to give it to a mastering engineer, he wants to make changes maybe, or if you want to master it yourself, you want to give yourself a little bit of headroom so that you can boost certain frequencies and limit things and stuff. So yeah, like the highest, loudest part, not above -6, or like something in between, like -12 and -6 on the master. So the master is our reference indicator. We don't want to touch this. If we want to make changes to the volume, we make it on the faders here, and not here, so that we can have the reference. So let's see. Okay, that's good for now. I don't want to go too deep into mixing. That's a whole nother topic, maybe for another video. But for now, let's just go to the arrangement. So what I'm doing now is I'm basically transferring those loops into a linear arrangement view. And I'm starting by turning all the clips off. Clicking this button will deactivate all those clips. And I start at 0. And I start at first with the frequencies here, the solfeggios. So I copy it. Actually, let's put this also at the beginning. You can just take it, hold it, and then move it around. So let's start with the first one. So those channels are the same. Channel 1 here is also channel 1 here. It's the same. It's just one is horizontal. Vertical, and the other one is horizontal. So I paste it, Command V. And now you see beautiful 108 is already 7 minutes. And I think that's a good length for a journey. We can also make it double as long if you want. So we can just extend this, you know, make it like 15 minutes, for instance, if we wanted to. But yeah, for the sake of this video, let's make it 7 minutes or something, so we go for the 108. It's also a good sacred number. 108, okay, cool. So we have that, and we take this one, Command C, Command V, and also let's use the nature sounds. So we have the forest, number 15. Let's put them up. So this way the order stays kind of chronological, and we can just drag it all the way because we want to play it all the time. And then we have the water stream here, copy this one, paste it, and drag it out all the way. So now it sounds like that. And then, let's say, we bring in the drone. Or maybe let's start with the flute, you know, like, so that's a good idea in general, to have, I call this like flute effects, you know, like as an introduction. It's really good to have like those kind of opening sounds or effect sounds, transition sounds, you know, like to take the listener onto the journey with a gesture. Even you could imagine this being like a ceremony or ritual, and you want to open the ritual, and you know, flutes and in general effects and transition sounds are really good for that. So take the flute here. Let's see how it sounds if I put it at the beginning. That's a bit too early. Let's maybe bring it in here. Awesome. So it's really important that you're always listening from the beginning and then see how it feels. So if everything works, my feeling is now that the flute is coming in, this can be introducing the drone. So now I put the drone on the same space. So it starts after 6 bars, right? To bring it up. And let's fade it in, right? So those are the fades. You need to make sure that the automation is disabled, because if it's enabled you don't see the fades. But if you turn this off, you just go on the corners here and then you see the little boxes, click on them. This will create a fade in, so the sound is coming in gradually. So let's have a listen how that sounds. Beautiful. And we just keep it coming here, the flute also all the way. I guess the drone also, at least a while, halfway maybe. You know, because you see here the timeline, 7 minutes. So this will be halfway. Maybe I want to introduce the high drone at some point, we will see. But for now, let's just keep going. And yeah, I really like to use effect sounds, transition sounds whenever I introduce a new element to make it more flowy and more smooth. And you know, we can even have like an introductory sound, and for that I will go now to my effects rack, which you can get on my website. It's called Shamanic Atmos, and oh, it's not here yet, I need to add it. And you can also get the Shamanic Atmos effects rack for free if you become a Ko-fi supporter. If you sign up for one of the memberships, you will get the download link for the Shamanic Atmos as well. So I just added it to the browser here. You can add folders from your hard drive or external hard drive to the browsers here to access them. So now I can just add this to the project, double click on it, it will insert it here. And if you want to check out the rack, I made a video about it, like how it works in general. But let's just find like a nice intro sound. Now I'm just playing different samples here from the effects rack. Something like that. Maybe the chime at the beginning could also be really nice. You know, just to start. It's a bit loud. Yeah, they go all really well with that. I was just playing with a couple of sounds. I really found that this one, they add a really nice atmosphere in general. It's like indigenous instruments that imitate the sounds of the jungle, the swamp elements like frogs and stuff. So I will create a clip with that. Let me find it. Ah, here, the woodperks. So let's just record that. Or maybe just draw it in. Yeah, something like that. Duplicate it. And then let's just freeze and flatten it. So basically this is like swamp Atmo, and I put it at the beginning, and it's part of the ambient sounds, you know, because you can of course use a lot more. Like in a sense it's also imitating nature, right? So you could imagine this as an additional layer to the nature sounds that we're having. We can make it green for the jungle. So I copy this and I bring it in here as well, and we can play it all the time. Now I'm just looking for one opening sound at the beginning. Could be like a flute or ocarina or something. Let's check it. Rainmaker, interesting. Something like that maybe, from the beginning. Okay, and something that we need to check also with percussions not so much, but with other instruments is the tuning. So we need to see if it's tuned to 444. I don't think so. I think it's 440 by default, but we can retune it. So let's just see. Yeah, let's just create this. As this intro sequence, freeze it. Okay, and then we put them to the beginning here. Maybe after 3 bars or something. So let's see, after 12 bars we can bring in the pad. It is number 17. But now we just move it after the draw. So now it's number 11. And I put it here. And I also wanted to fade in. And let's have a listen. bright, so what we can do is we can use the auto filter to take off a little bit of the high frequencies, and let's see. To do also to give it more movement is to automate the filter frequency with an LFO. So if you increase the amount here a little bit, then let's use 0.09, very slow, it will slightly change the filter frequency. So basically it's opening and closing the filter over time, and this gives it a little bit more interest and movement and motion. Number 15. Percussions. Let's see how that sounds without the other instrument. Maybe let's also use the higher drone just to try how that feels. And what we can do is we can make a crossfade. So that means they're fading into each other. So one is fading out and the other one is fading in. Actually, I really like this drone. What we could try is to put the other one on top. So we duplicate it and we see if we bring it in here, just see how that feels. Maybe a little bit more quiet. also do is to separate them from the frequency spectrum, because this one is in a lower range and this one is in a higher range, so we can use an EQ to take out the frequencies that we don't need in each one because they are not relevant for the timbre of the sound. So first we put an EQ here, and again this is already like a little bit mixing, but why not? And you know, I want also to sound it good if I send it to you. So we take a low cut. In general, I take out everything below 30 Hertz, so we have this roll off. But now we can also roll off the highs and see what is not needed. So I would say, in general, it's like something like that. So everything above 760 Hertz, we don't need. And now let's check the drone too. So there we can take a lot of more from the low frequencies. Start around here, maybe 300. And then here we bring in the flute again. Also maybe like another effect sound, like a rainmaker or something, to make the transition even more nice. Let's check the shaker. Yeah, they're beautiful in general. Like we could definitely put in more shakers. So let's do that. So now what I can do is I can just create a MIDI clip here, right click, insert MIDI clip, and then I'm instantly here, and let's just see how that goes. Maybe make it longer. So we have this, and we just duplicate it. Or like we said, now it's like 9 bars. Also again, just to give it more variety, so that not everything is 6 or 12. And flatten. I hope. Yeah, maybe let's just freeze this part. So that it doesn't take so much time. So I just take the first 9 bars. We have it. The shaker. And yeah, let's just break this out. This time we can leave it at beats because we want the percussive transients. And let's get rid of this. Program here to the effect sounds. Okay, now I take it off again, the Balinese one. And maybe also the balafon, because we're slowly coming to an end here. Also the flute has more space now. So let's see, at the end we just do the same thing, just backwards. So we set 12 bars and we make sure that bit by bit the elements are gone. So now this is only this playing, so this goes off here and we can fade it out, maybe like that. And then we go more 12 bars back. Then we have the flute stopping. Yeah, so far so good. The shakers we can keep a little bit longer, maybe like here. And then let's also find a nice effect sound, like a rainmaker or something, to make a nice transition as well. And also the rainmaker feels like really cleansing. So imagine a lot of energy has been moved in this journey, even though it was not like super long, but the frequencies definitely have an effect, and we're working energetically here also. So it's always good to cleanse the energy with a rainmaker or something like that. So let's check. Yeah, let's use this one. Super long. Basically fading out. This one also can fade out earlier. For the end, I want something that is actually signaling that it's the end, and that could actually be so let's just freeze the rainmaker here. flatten it. And for this one, we just want an interesting outro sound, so maybe chimes. Maybe both. Just as a nice outro kind of thing, the last bars. We still have the Rainmaker. If I click fold, I see all the notes. Only the ones that I played or that were in the clip. Okay, and now we felt it was pretty abrupt, and what we actually want to do is we want to create an overall fade out and fade in with the master volume. And what we could do is we could automate the master volume here, so we could go master, and then we go to mixer, and then we go to track volume, and then we click the dots here. The dots will create a connection between the line, and then it will create movement, right? But what you also can do, which is more elegant, is if you highlight it with left click. So now you have this, or shift click, and now you have this area highlighted, and then you can right click and then insert shape, and then you can choose now my voice is gone. As you can see, it's fading in. It's also affecting my voice. So I have to take the voice off. So what I can do is just I group everything and I take the voice off. So I group this. And now I take the voice off. And instead of automating the volume of the master, I just automate the volume of the clip here. The group. So now my voice is not affected. So I'll go like that again. And now you can actually move it around. So I could say, let's have this one here instead. We can get rid of this one, double click on it, and now I can also edit the value. I could right click and say have this here at 0 dB, which is like full normal volume, and then over 8 bars it will fade in. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, actually let's make it a bit shorter. Let's make it 9 bars. 6. So we have the full volume here when the flute is coming in. Double click to get rid of this one and make sure that we have a nice curve again. Maybe now if I click Alt, you can see I can move the shapes, Alt on a PC. I don't know what is, probably like command or something on the Mac. But let's not make it super steep, let's make it more gentle. So, let's see how that sounds. Okay, awesome. And we do the same for the end. So now we just highlight the area and we do the opposite shape. And let's see how that sounds. Gradually fading on. Perfect. All right. So now we have the arrangement. The next step would be mixing. And yeah, we might do that in another video, but for now we're already like at 2 hours, so that's a lot. Let's just leave it here. You could of course now export it and then have it as an audio file to listen to or to share with friends. Yeah, as I said, if you support me on Ko-Fi, if you have like one of the memberships, then you will be able to download this project, and this already includes the Shamanic Atmos effects rack, so you will get that for free, and I will make sure that everything is balanced to audio, which means everything is freeze and flattened. So if you don't have Forest Kingdom or Nada, then you still have the sounds, but at the same time you will also have access to the MIDI files, to the melodies and stuff, right? If you want your own instruments. So you have the melodies that we've recorded, but you could just use different instruments to play them. Alright, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And thanks for watching. And yeah, if you want to support me, you can buy me a cacao and coffee, or you become a membership. I will do those regularly now. And yeah, you will be able to download the projects. And curious to see and hear what you will create inspired by this video. Lots of love and blessings from Costa Rica, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.